Hello, virtuous thought leaders, scholars, and virtue change agents. My name is Dr. Lisa Marie Portugal, and I have a new talk prepared for you. This one is called Aristotelian Virtue Framework. And the graphic here, it's very simplistic, but it's very important. So virtue at the top, right? And we get that through character building, virtue building, deficit on the far left and on the bottom, and excess on the right. So managing, building virtue within us and building character within us. We don't want to be deficient and we don't want to be excessive, right? Because those kinds of problems can damage us, damage our health, damage our society, and damage others. So we want to always be cognizant of these challenges to us and work on character development and virtue building within ourselves and help others as well, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the topics today. We're going to talk about Aristotle and virtue ethics, an Aristotelian virtue framework. Why should I be ethical? Short-term wins, damaged reputation, loss of trust. None of that sounds good, right? I know I don't like any of that. Conclusion and references. Okay, so let's get into the first part of it. So what does Aristotle say about virtue ethics? Eudaimonia. I love that word. If you followed me for a while, you know what eudaimonia is. It means happiness or the good life, right? Pursuit of happiness and the good life. Eudaimonia. Virtues are those aspects of character that lead to a good life. And Aristotle had said that we cannot have good life, we cannot have eudaimonia if we don't have the virtues within us, if we don't have that strong character within us. The virtues is what leads us to having a better and improved life, a healthy life. Virtues flow naturally from the character of moral exemplars. Beautiful, right? So I'm sure you're a moral exemplar, and we're all here strengthening our own character and our virtues so that when we go out and model into the world whatever we're doing, that we can be that moral exemplar for others, right? And help others become moral exemplars. Exemplars are persons who have developed certain habits that embody moral virtues. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. Okay, so there is our Aristotle and virtue ethics. And now we're going to talk about having an Aristotelian virtue framework. So a lot of these words here are pretty interesting, pretty cool. On the left, you see deficiency of virtue, meaning vice. In the middle, we have the virtue, the corresponding virtue. And then on the right, we have excess of the virtue, meaning vice. So if we just take a look at the first example, courage. I love courageous people. Well, on the left, if you have a deficiency of that, it's a cowardice, right? It's coward. On the right, if it's too much, you're rash, right? So these are all important words that we want to reflect on and work on within ourselves. And I have always been taught, through my moral training, through my family and my religious leaders, Christian leaders, that whatever you're lacking in, you want to do more of that virtue. So, for instance, virtue of temperance. If I am an insensible person, I want to work on temperance, right? Or if I have too much of it, dissipation is the one on the right. Let's look for a good, here's one. Okay, generosity, that's a good one. We all like generosity, right? Well, on the left, if you're a stingy person, then you want to work on being more generous, right? So we always you work on it by doing the opposite of what you normally would do, right? Or whatever you gravitate towards on the vice side. And then on the excess of it, it's wastefulness. So wastefulness, we live in a very materialistic society, very wasteful. So there you go. Look at the one in the center, magnificence. I love that, magnificence. On the left, when you have less, you're chintzy. And then that's an interesting word, right? Chintzy. And then on the right, if you're over, then you're vulgar. So we don't want that. Magnanimity in the center, one of my favorite words I'm always talking about, meaning greatness. Magnanimity, and we cannot reach greatness until we achieve all of the virtues. We work on character development. We work on building the virtues within ourselves and helping others as well so that we can achieve greatness in the self and greatness in society and nation. Well, the lack or the deficiency of that is aspersion. And then the vice of it on the excess side is vainglory. Yeah, very interesting, right? We don't like vainglorious people, vain people. So there you go. All right. So there's a lot of different words there. Very cool. I suggest going through each one of them. Look at the second to the bottom. Confident, the virtue in the center. On the deficiency, it's paranoia. And then on the excess of confident, it's arrogant. We don't like arrogance, right? So these are all very interesting words. And like I said, for any of these words that we need to work on in ourselves or help others to work on, show them the graphic, show them the chart, and wherever we may fall on this graphic, we can work on that virtue within ourselves by doing more of that center column, right? Being cognizant and aware of how we can work on that center column. Okay, so now let's take a look at my narrative here for you. At times, some executives or people, in the workplace or in the school place or wherever, may in theory appreciate business ethics, but in practice feel an ethical framework is impractical from a financial returns point of view. And that comes straight out of a study from Hartman et al. 2018. Mainly, the challenge exists with executives believing that the principles required in an ethical framework may not always work in a practical sense in a business environment. Again, that came out of Hartman et al.'s study. Thus, what is required is proving to the business executive that a virtuous ethical framework can provide both a prudent business perspective and an ethical justification. These were the findings in Hartman et al. An Aristotelian virtue framework with utilitarianism and duty theory can be a useful rationale for convincing business executives about the value of a shared culture of excellence for organizational success. And that is, those are the findings that came out of Cameron and Wynn, 2011, Hartman et al., 2018, and Havard, his 3 books, 2007, 2014, 2018. So there's a lot of research on this, right? And so if we're not a business executive, that doesn't matter. Wherever we are, we can help promulgate our ideas about this, right? And we're always modeling. And if you're teaching others, you can make, curriculum about this. You can create plans and 3-point bullet points for students to understand and follow, right? Create rubrics, codes of ethics based upon a lot of these ideas that we have to help people understand. Okay, so why should I be ethical? I love this quote from Aristotle. I know I use it a lot. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Very cool, right? So a common question some executives may ask is, why should I be ethical if it isn't sound for business at any given time when making a decision? Executives should understand that ethics and business are intertwined in business activity, and leaders should strive to make ethically sound business decisions because it fosters and promotes the health and well-being of the organization and its employees, right? And so that's where we also come in. Wherever you are working, whatever you're engaged with, why is it important for us to be ethical? We're always modeling for others. We're always showing what we're made of. What is our character made of? Who are we? What are our Christian principles? Do we live them? Are we making decisions based on those Christian principles? Are we treating and teaching others about those Christian principles? So let's talk about short-term wins and damaged reputation or loss of trust. All negative things. We don't want to deal with any of that, right? So look at this Aristotle quote. Those who know do, those that understand teach. Very cool, right? And so you understand our Christian principles and values and what character development is all about. And so your job is to go out and teach in the world wherever you happen to be. So short-term wins can jeopardize an organization's brand and customer perception, right? It can ruin people. Furthermore, legal entanglements can further harm an organization's reputation and bottom line. Finally, short-term wins for the individual making a poor decision can lead to costly legal problems, damaged reputation, loss of trust, and inability to advance future aspirations or future career aspirations. So, like I said, we are always modeling for others why it's important to have a strong character built upon the virtues. And, that follows you wherever you go. You're going to have a better reputation, and people are going to trust you, and they're going to look to you for your leadership and your managing capabilities that you have, right? So how do we create a culture of excellence wherever we are? Well, it starts with each one of us doing it, right? Okay, so in conclusion, let's talk about a question that you can reflect on for the week. In your view, what are other reasons to implement a virtuous framework in business or in school or elsewhere, wherever you happen to be? Why is a virtuous framework based upon building character in ourselves and in others and those within our society? Why is that important to us? And as traditional Christians, we know the answer to that, but now we need to go out and teach that to others. And I'm sure you're already doing that in your own way anyways, right? Okay, in your own creative way. I want to thank you so much for building your leadership competencies today. And thank you for your participation in the world. Each one of you are needed. We are all valued and important in our world and in our society and our nation. And God bless you. You have a beautiful day.